The meeting is called to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Board Member Gigi Robinson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So good to see everybody. Thank you for this special called meeting. Roll call, Mrs. Vaughn.
It's all in attendance, Chairman.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
A motion by Andy Witt. Is there a second? Second by Pat Welsh. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Mrs. Vaughn?
That's all in favor, Chairman.
Very good, thank you. New business, new positions. Dr. Stevens.
Yes, so as you all know, we are in the early planning stages of the fiscal year 24 budget. This year, the new student-based funding model known as the Tennessee Investment in Student Achievement, or TISA model, is beginning. No longer will we be receiving BEP funds. In preparation for the transition from BEP to TISA, the state provided funding projections for every school district using a 5-year look-back approach where the average was figured to give every district an idea of the potential change in those student-based funding dollars. With that in mind, Tullahoma City Schools is slated to receive an increase in state funds, which will allow us to serve our students and their needs through innovative means. This evening, I'd like to present 5 new leadership positions to this board for approval. One of the reasons we're coming together at this time is we're hitting prime hiring season. If this is something that you do indeed approve, it is possible when people are in these positions that there might be a domino effect, so we want to be ahead of it. So first of all, when dealing with new positions, there's a board policy 5116 that requires you all as a board receive a job description, the qualifications necessary, professional responsibilities such as their essential duties and roles of the position, and how the position will be evaluated. So that's within policy. So first of all, each of these licensed positions will be evaluated utilizing Project Coach that all certified employees are evaluated under. As you know, career and technical education has changed significantly over the last several years. Our current CTE director, Jesse Kinsey, serves in the district leadership role as well as a high school assistant principal. CTE crosses grade levels, moving down into middle school and goes through actually all the schools in our district. The school board has committed to a strategic plan that encompasses school-to-work pathways, which is directly led by the CTE director. The weight and responsibility of this role is such that it needs to be a full-time and year-long position. We are recommending this evening that the board approve this new position effective for the 23-24 year. So that would be effective July 1. Over the last several years, we have also discussed the need for additional assistant principals to serve in our elementary campuses. As you will recall, a couple of years ago, the board approved for a full-time assistant principal in each of the middle schools. And we've had these conversations that this additional leadership role is needed. In light of the high needs of students, staff members, and families, the important role of instructional leadership, supporting active engagement of all stakeholders, and for ensuring a safe environment for all, these leadership roles are needed. A benefit of the recent leadership internship program is that this certainly has provided a window to our principals of what it would be like if indeed they had an assistant principal every day to walk alongside them. They have conveyed to me how helpful the internship program has been and how helpful it would be to have an assistant principal each day. These principals can then lead at a high level knowing they will have a partner in the work as we provide safe environments for all. We expect a high level of teaching and learning. We have a high number of evaluations that have to be done utilizing Project Coach and more. So in your board packet, you were provided with job descriptions for both a CTE director and an elementary assistant principal position. Tonight, I'm seeking your approval of these positions so we can post them and move forward tomorrow prior to our job fair. So there's also another element of timing here as we are really trying to encourage folks to consider Tullahoma City Schools. Please note, special note here, if you do approve the CTE director position, Jessie Kinsey will move into that year-round leadership role. She has served excellently in that role, as you all know, and you've seen her and watched her in the work. So as a result, the posting would actually be a high school assistant principal. She's been splitting that role. So I want you to be aware that tomorrow, if this all gets approved, there will be 5 assistant principal roles posted. So tonight, I respectfully request your approval of these 5 new leadership positions, 1 district-wide CTE director, and 4 elementary assistant principals. These positions will begin in the next fiscal year, so July 2023, but we will post now to attract and secure the best candidates and then to fill any vacant positions that might occur internally should we be making some of those recommendations. Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to accept the new positions as presented to include 4 elementary assistant principal positions and 1 CTE director position?
So moved.
Motion by Teresa Lawson. Second? Second by Amy Dotson. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say I'm so glad that we are considering this, and I hope this passes, because I know Jessie has done a phenomenal job with what she's done, and I can't imagine doing that part-time and being a part-time assistant principal. I know Mr. Quick would love to have another full-time assistant principal, and for our elementary school principals, I don't know how you do it by yourself. Y'all need extra help. I know that. So I'm very excited about this for our system.
And I would say, if it's okay if I add a little bit, thank you. I would say that there is some anxiety with elementary assistant principals when they step away from that building for a conference or they're ill. They may have individuals they trust. Some are even licensed that may step in, but there is a bit of anxiety when you step away from a position. And Dr. Norris can attest there have been times when we step into a building to check on the building, she steps into a building when someone's going to be out for an extended time, because we are concerned about safety and everything moving appropriately and wanting to provide support. So I know they would certainly feel really good about having a partner that would have 7 of our campuses, each with then at least a principal and assistant principal. And I thought there's one other tidbit I wanted to share with you all. East Middle and West Middle currently have 384 students. They each have a full-time assistant principal. Our elementary schools have 375, 488, 369, and 502. When you look at those numbers and you look at, we have a full-time assistant principal in middle schools, that essentially all of our schools are at the same level or even higher in terms of student number. And of course, needs are different at the middle level versus elementary and or high school. In terms of the high school, obviously our largest campus, having that 3rd assistant principal, I know will be utilized as they have really tried to strategize. However, with CTE having so many responsibilities and so many conferences and so many meetings, which is wonderful, it takes that person away when they're splitting that role. So thank you. Just wanted to add those other tidbits for you.
I think your remarks about the elementary school were right on. When I was Scott's liaison, I think twice, it's very obvious that there was an incognito assistant principal, which Ms. Kinsey, not to be confused with Ms. Kinsey. It's fair.
Yes.
To put one in there. It's getting paid as an assistant principal.
The only thing I would say too about this is that this is not, it may seem that this is like come out of the blue or something, but it is not at all. It's been a topic of discussion for us and at our board retreat, and it definitely was a priority as that we felt like was a need. So it's not something that we have had a lot lot of background information on and thought about.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for many
Appreciate you
years.
lifting that
Yeah,
up.
definitely a targeted need, and just for my limited time in the schools and spending time with some of the principals, it's amazing to me, just in my interactions, how often they have to divert, take care of this, and then come back, so it's well needed.
It is. And in my 10 and a half years on the board, we've talked about this the entire time. So just as Gigi said, this is not anything new. It's just fortunate that looks like it could potentially happen.
Yeah, we're in a good time, and it's very similar to when you all blessed the deputy director role. Very similarly, we are partners in the work. I truly could not imagine serving as director of schools without my counterpart and deputy director, Norris. So it's very similar.
Very good. Any more discussion? We're ready to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Mrs. Vaughn?
That is all in favor.
Yay, I think that deserves applause. And from y'all, yay. Very good. Thank you so much. One thing I wanted to share with all of you all before we adjourn, the BOE position opening was announced at last night's Board of Mayor and Aldermen's meeting, and the interest application is now available, and the appointment will be made at the Board of Mayor and Aldermen's meeting on Monday, March 27th. So anyone that is interested, they need to reach out to the city and fill out that application and get that in.
Is there a deadline to fill out that application, or is it just?
I think it must just be the meeting. He said it was 30 days. 30 days, so I'm thinking that would be exactly 30 days, so. Right, is there anything else to come before the board? All those in favor or do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Motion by Gigi Robinson, second by Pat Welsh. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Mrs. Vaughn?
That's all in favor.
Meeting adjourned.